because, as Kubo has said to me many times, that was our fault. You know, his take on it is, if you do business in another country, you got to learn how that country does business, right? If you're an American company doing business in Japan, you have to learn a whole different set of business rules in order to be successful. So Kubo-san blames himself and his co-workers, his colleagues. But the end result is that these millions poured into 4 kids, and the head of 4 kids, a man named Alfred Kahn, became very rich. And in fact, if you go out to his university, which I think is Long Island University, there's the Alfred Kahn Center for the Arts, named after him, because presumably he gave them a lot of money. So that story, the Pokemon story, is one of the crucial stories in the book, because it not only starts to explain this explosion in America. Now, of course, a lot of American kids who were fans of Pokemon and got the trading cards and bought into the whole triangle of anime, games, and cards and merchandise, they would move on from Pokemon. They would leave it behind, right? But what Pokemon introduced them to was a distinct style of animated storytelling, with a couple of crucial Japanese components. One of them being that the illustration is based on the line, or the outline of characters. Many of you know that manga, which is the print base for anime, is mostly printed in black and white. So if you take a Superman comic book and hold it up next to a Japanese manga, you see a distinct difference. First of all, Superman's all full color. And second of all, Superman has all these shadings, ripples, that's better, muscular ripples, right? The artists in America are showing you depth perception, the depth of the comic image. In a typical Japanese manga comic book, you see outlines. The artist is doing all of the kinetic movement with the outlines of the character, not with shading, not with depth perception. And if you think in your mind of a typical Pokemon image, you can probably see what I mean. It's the pointy hair, the outlines of characters, the big eyes, the famously big eyes, and a lot of movement, a lot of kinetic movement on the page that's done through the outline. And that can be traced back through traditional Japanese arts going back to the 12th century, such as the imakemono, which are the scroll paintings. In fact, when those paintings were discovered by European artists, they were a revelation, because these Japanese artists were doing everything with the line, the outline of a mountain crop, or the outline of a crane, instead of the Italian term is chiaroscuro, or depth perception. And these Japanese artists were using lines instead in order to communicate the image. So Pokemon introduces that line-based drawing. You can also see it in ukiyo-e woodblock prints from Japan. It also introduced this style of storytelling, which you can find in a lot of anime and manga, which has a couple of crucial components. One is that the characters and the environment does not have to be rooted in a biological reality. And one quick way to explain that, in American cartoons, Bugs is a bunny, right? That's Silly Rabbit. Mickey is a mouse, Donald's a duck, go on, right? Wile E. Coyote, etc. And then you have your Superman, your Spider-Man, and so on. But in a lot of Japanese stories in anime and manga, the characters can be divorced from biological reality entirely. So Pokemon are pocket monsters, right? If you think of the Tamagotchi pets that were popular years ago, 10 years ago, I guess, they're these virtual pets that you have to feed and you have to clean them. They're just digital pets, basically. But they're not necessarily based upon a biological reality. So consequently, in the Pokemon universe, as some of you will know, the number of characters keeps growing and growing and growing, right? And there's no explanation for it, there's no procreation, of course, there's no actual biological basis for their flowering, except that they're pocket monsters in this fantasy landscape. And that enables what we call it in Japanese storytelling, the serialized, or as I describe in the book, rough translation, the never-ending saga. The story just goes on and on and on.